I'm going to be showing a fun fold today. It's one I've done quite a long time ago, but kind of thought I would pull it out of the archives and do it again because I think it's fun and it's one I don't see very often. I will be focusing on the Parisian Blossoms Specialty DSP, which is all these beautiful prints. And of course we have a beautiful metallic edge ribbon and some beautiful rhinestones to coordinate with it. And if you're interested in seeing everything that's in the Parisian Blossoms Suite, you can find it in our mini catalog on pages 14 through 17. And this is one of those suites that does have two bundles with it, stamp set and coordinating dies. And we'll be working with those today as well. So thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate it. I have missed you. Been dealing with some health things, especially a back issue. I guess I can make an announcement. This is actually my last week working with Visiting Angels. It was a very hard decision for me, but I have decided after lots of thought and lots of anxiety that I would continue on my Stampin' Up! Journey, and I want to devote full-time attention to that. I'll miss my clients, but the work is kind of taking its toll on me a little bit, definitely physically, and then sometimes too even in terms of depression and anxiety. So it's been a great experience for the last year and a half, but I'm excited to do Stampin' Up! Full-time and hopefully build up a larger customer base in the Columbus area, Columbus, Ohio area, where I've been living for the last year and a half, and still continue with my Stampin' Up! Business in Cincinnati, as well as working with my team, and we're kind of spread out in that way. So, so I guess you guys are the first to know. So tomorrow is my last day as a visiting angel, and breaks my heart a little bit to say goodbye to my clients, but I think it's a good decision for me personally, and this is a year of self-care. All right, let's get started with the fun fold. Okay, I'm not showing you a sample. I'm just going to do the whole thing with you beginning to end. You're going to start with an 8.5 by 11 standard piece of cardstock, and I've chosen Petal Pink. And you're going to score it in half in both directions. So I'm starting with it in the vertical position or portrait position and scored it 4 1/4. And now I am going to score it, turned it into the horizontal position, or some people refer to it as landscape position. And I'm going to score that at 5 1/2, which is also half. Okay, so I've scored it in half each direction. Now the next part of this, I'm going to cut on the diagonal one time. And this is a little bit tricky on this one. My other, my Carl cutter that I use for cutting for classes and things allows me more length for that diagonal score, but we're going to, or cutting, but I'm just going to do the best I can. Okay. And then when we get to the end like that, I can just use my scissor snips. But what I've done is actually, so you can see with our paper trimmer, you can cut it almost all the way through on the diagonal. Now what you can't, I'm having a hard time seeing in this light for some reason. I have an eye doctor appointment at the end of the month, and I sure am glad this time because I've been having some difficulty with my vision. Anyway, so that's what you're doing. But to do that, a nice diagonal like that, what I like to do is put the corner point into your, right into the cutting edge. Okay, can you see that? I think that's better. Right into the cutting edge. And then I do the same thing with that bottom corner, okay? So now I have, I'm gonna put this aside. Now I have these two pieces. So this is a fun fold that you can actually make 2 cards from 1 sheet of cardstock. I'm gonna pull out my bone folder, and it doesn't really matter which one you use. You can use both, and I'll show you the difference. And you just want to fold these nicely. Give them a good crease with your bone folder. And this then is your card base. So it opens top and left, or top and right, or it can open top, that's what I just did, isn't it? Or like this, okay, or bottom and left. All right, so do you see how I got that? Okay, this is the side I scored on, and then cut diagonally. And I now have these 2 card bases, okay? Now, if you wanted to turn it and make them open the same direction, that's cool, but I think it's fun to have 2 different choices. You know, you could do it this way also. It's up to you. There's not a right or wrong. There's just more than one option, okay? So let's do it this way, 1 of each, okay? So I went ahead and pre-cut some cardstock. I did Stampin' Eiffel Tower there. And this is from one of those bundles that comes in the suite. Parisian Beauty talks about love and adventure, and has a great coordinating die set. So on the outside, I'm going to have it layered like this, but we have to know that we're working with that diagonal, okay? So I'm going to just put a tiny bit of adhesive on those so then I can pull up the DSP also after it, because I'm going to do a diagonal cut on this instead of laying the whole layered rectangle down, okay? And it can be either one. I think I'm going to do this one and cut on the same diagonal. So what I'm going to do here, put that aside, I'm going to put opposite corners right in my cutting line. Has anybody used the Parisian Blossoms Designer Series paper? It's beautiful. The metallic in it is actually champagne foil, so it's gorgeous. Now the reason I wanted to just put a tad bit of adhesive behind there is to show you, you can adhere these pieces just like this so that it appears to be a solid, okay? Or you can change it up slightly and do a small border all the way around each of the triangles. So there's another option for you in this, okay? You see what I mean there? So now I have a nice border of the champagne foil as well as the Petal Pink cardstock all the way around. But it doesn't matter. You can do it either way. This is not, I'm going to put my adhesive on my cardstock instead. I think we may have done this fun fold at a team meeting. several years ago. So some of you, it might look familiar to you. Okay, and again, I'm going to pick this up, add some more adhesive, so okay, so now I have that border of metallic, champagne metallic foil going all the way around my little triangle. Okay, so this is what I have so far. I did cut pieces for the inside. I'm using some metallic foil, 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And then I cut a piece of Whisper White, 5 inches by 3 5 inches, yes, 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches. My adhesive does not want to stick so well to the back of this foil sheet. Okay, so that's what we have. Now, to finish off the card, I cut another piece of Designer Series paper. It's the back of the one I'm already using with the largest stitched oval die. And I'm going to put that, I'm going to adhere that to 1/2 of my card front, and I'm going to adhere it to the top part, okay? And I just put that on the wrong side. So yes, you want to be cognizant of where you're putting your adhesive. Okay, because you only want it on that half of the card front. So we don't work on the diagonal too much, so it can throw you off a wee bit. Okay, so just like that, and this is what I have. Okay, now if you want to cover this up, you can do a couple of things. You can just cut another piece of cardstock, the same color as your card base. You could cut another oval, the same as the print on the front. Okay, all kinds of things you can do. So I'll let you decide that. Then I've got this darling Eiffel Tower that I cut from the champagne foil sheet, okay? And I want to show you how wonderfully this cuts out, because I know when you see a lot of tiny little cuts in a die, or a die that is has lots of delicate, intricate cuts, we kind of want to shy away from that, thinking, oh no, we're going to have to poke all those little things out, all those negative spaces. But this one has been working wonderfully for me. And of course, when you're die cutting something that is this detailed, I do suggest that you go back and forth a few times, maybe 3. Lift this up. And the other days on my Facebook Live, somebody asked me about the Take Your Pick tool I was using. So as I was showing that, I did get out the add-on piece, the accessory, which is the sponge with this Big Shot die brush. I want to make sure I'm not missing questions here. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can scroll up. Okay, I'm good. Oh, lots of people on here. Woohoo! And don't forget, I would love it if you would share this VIP group and my page, my videos, my blog, all that. You can share during a Facebook Live or after as well. Okay, now look at what a good job that did. You need to remember that the die brush is not designed to push your die cut piece out. It's designed to get as many of those little negative spaces out as possible. Now you can see I have just a very few down at the bottom, but I can very easily get those out just like that. And now I have them all. So isn't that amazing? We don't have to poke at each of those little things. So I just wanted to show you how nicely that comes out of the die. Okay? So let's go ahead and put this on here. And I think I'm going to go ahead and put it in the center. And I'm going to use some glue dots to put this on. And what I'm going to do is, oh, not picking them up, put the glue dots in such a way that they'll be hidden by some of the larger parts of the foil on the die, which there aren't many because of the detail in this. Has anybody ever been to Paris, seen the Eiffel Tower? I have not. Hopefully someday I'll get to do it. We'll see. Whoops. Okay, come on. Come on, pick up that glue. There we go. Oops, I didn't need it on the bottom too. Darn it. Oh no, they're okay. They're going to be on. It's okay. I thought I was off the oval, but I'm not. Okay, so remember, we're only attaching to that top half again. Okay. Another thing you could do too is just put another piece of paper there, but I think it kind of takes away from that because then you're going to see it on the front. But I really don't think it's a bad thing to see the back. Like I said, here the direction of the wording is going a different way, so you might want to put something there just because of that. I think this is what I'll do when I come back to it. And I have that much done. I decided I do want to stamp a greeting, and I'm going to stamp in, let's see, I pulled out Petal Pink, Pool Party, Gray Granite. I like the Gray Granite because it goes so nicely with the champagne foil. And then a pair of pizzazz for the next card. Yeah, I think I'll go with this one, the Gray Granite. And this says, life is a magnificent adventure. Isn't that the case? Oops, I just smudged it. Okay. And then I'm just going to use my paper snips to cut a banner end. I'm going to try it this way and see. I think I'm going to do the same thing on the other end. I wasn't sure which I was doing. Okay, I'm going to make this a little smaller too, smaller angle. And of course we have lots of dies that you could use to cut out some of the sayings. Okay, I'm going to pop this up with a couple of dimensionals. Wendy, good morning from Seattle. Good afternoon from Ohio. Thanks for joining in. Okay, so there we have that. What do you think? Do you like this fun fold? How about a thumbs up or hearts if you do? Now we do have a couple of embellishments that go with this suite. We have the champagne rhinestones, and we also have the Petal Pink satin ribbon that's edged with the a champagne metallic edge. Okay, I think I'm just going to put a few rhinestones on, and since I took off my putty end to use the Big Shot die brush, I'll just pick them up with my piercing end or piercing tool. Okay, and one down here. There, I think that's pretty. Okay, life is a magnificent adventure. So where, for what occasions would you use this for, a magnificent adventure? A new job, perhaps retirement, could be graduation. Somebody's going on, you know, a trip of a lifetime, a trip that they've had on their bucket list, new family members, a change of address, all kinds of things like that. You know, life is an adventure is quite true, and we all have things we're going through, and life is constantly changing. So it would be great for so many different occasions. And really it was quite simple to make that fun fold. So let's do a second one. This will be similar. Actually, yeah, let's do this one, and then we'll hop on over to one more, because I'm going to show you how you can make one of these fun folds with designer series paper as your card base. Okay. And remember that when you are cutting this, you want to cut in the direction of, I guess we could go this way, right? You want to cut in the correct direction. You want it to match up the diagonals on your card front, on the card base. And our paper trimmer cuts through the two layers very, very nicely. Now on the other one, I showed you how to have that small champagne foil border all the way around each piece of the designer series paper. But on this one, okay, come on, I got it all gunked up here. On this one, I'm leaving it just so that, and I'll take the edge of the layers right up to that diagonal edge of the card front. Okay, so that when the card's closed, it should look like it is one piece. Okay, so again, you're just going to match up the edges. So my sister Joan and brother-in-law left for Florida today for just a long weekend, Thursday to Sunday. So I'll be staying at my sister's house. I'm at my home right now, but she lives 10 minutes away, so I'll be going back and forth. And my niece Avery is very self-sufficient. Just another, honestly, just another body in the house. So Avery's a junior in high school, and then they have their dog Barrett. So Barrett and I got out for a walk on this cold, snowy morning. Oh, this is not cut correctly. Oh, I just crinkled that all up. Darn it. And you know I cannot put that in a card all crinkled up like that. I'm just going to cut another one real fast. So thanks for your patience. There. So my champagne foil is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And this one is 5 inches by 3 3/4. And before I adhere this to the center of the card, I'm going to go across, Patty, the same dimensions. This is the same dimensions. 5 1/4 by 4, and then the DSP is 5 inches by 3 3/4. Okay? I'm going to use this on my card just a little bit. Now you know how I feel about adhering ribbon. Always adhere it on the back. Okay, the back side. I don't like putting ribbon adhesive directly on the ribbon, especially on the front, because sometimes it just kind of bunches up and you can tell where it is, where the adhesive is. So I just don't like that, so I don't do it. So I just do that, put a little adhesive on the back and pull the ends of my ribbon over it. Okay, so we have that now, okay? And then, oh, let's do this one. So we're changing things up a little bit. And then I'll show you one more, which is a variation, okay? So I already stamped this floral image. I stamped it in the Memento Black, thinking I would use my Stampin' Blends markers, but I don't like it that dark. I don't like it stamped black. To me, it was just a little too much for that. So I went ahead and stamped with the Gray Granite, and I decided that I would just fill in with some color using a sponge dauber and ink pad. Okay. And you don't have to fill in completely. You don't have to even worry about staying in the lines completely. You see how I did that? Just, I start in the center, and then for the bigger flowers, you can stamp more into the petals. This is Petal Pink ink. Okay. Now for the leaves, I'm going to use Pear Pizzazz. Pear Pizzazz. And I'm going to use the very same technique, okay? And I'm just going to tap it. And you can angle this to get a smaller bit of the sponge touching the paper instead of full on. Okay, so just angle it a little bit to get some color on those leaves. Just like that. Again, you're not worrying about staying in lines. This is just a little more artistic approach than having to stay in the lines. Okay, pretty, isn't it? Just that little bit of color. I think I'm going to add just a little bit more color here very lightly on these big flowers. And I always say start out light with the colors, you know, don't dab hard, just very lightly. You can always add more color. Alrighty. Now, something very, very wonderful about this stamp set is it does have coordinating dies. This is the set. And it does have some coordinating dies. Oh, I should have put the color on my envelope that I already stamped, but I can do that later. One thing too is, I'm just going to tell you right now, this is my new tip, okay? And it's a silly thing, but it kind of drives me nuts. So we have these awesome new envelopes for our dies. And what I don't like about it is the closure on it, because I always seem to have trouble because it gets caught on my dies. So now when I get them, I'm going to pull this one off because I'm going to use it. So now when I get them, I pull out the die sheet and the direction or label sheet, and I flip them around and put them in this way so that when I want to close it, it closes easily and doesn't get snagged on anything, okay? So that's your Thursday tip of the day. But let's go ahead and cut this out so you can see how beautiful it is, and then put it on our card front. And of course, you know my trick that if the die is bouncing around a little bit, I don't think this one will because it's pretty large. Or if you just don't trust yourself that it might move or something, you can just add a little bit of washi tape. I even have a little piece right here. Just add a little bit of washi tape to the outside of the die so it doesn't move while you're rolling it through. Amy, you're watching as you work out. Well, good for you. That's awesome. I hope watching this is more fun than working out. At least it is to me. Okay. You also make a copy, Patty, so you can see what it is on that side. Okay, I get what you mean. All right, so let's finish off this card. And I think I'm going to do it just like this. And I'm going to adhere to the top, but I am going to use dimensionals. I'm putting the dimensionals, you know, using more than I normally would for a space that size. But because this is being opened on the diagonal and it's a little more delicate, I want to do it that way. Isn't that pretty? Now I still could have put the blue behind it if I wanted to, but I'm changing it up. Let's pull out a phrase from here. Gee, that looks good. How about always and forever? Or, yeah, let's do always and forever. Make a nice wedding card, or what do I want to say? Anniversary card. Could be used for an engagement or a bridal shower. Okay. Now this really does give us a lot of choices for cards for celebrating love. However, you can use it with so many different things, and it's got friendship in there as well. But the flowers are good for any occasion, okay? Even just note cards. You don't always have to have a sentiment on your cards. Okay, I'm going to stamp this in Petal Pink ink and punch it with our new fancy label punch. Just like that. I'm also going to use some ribbon on this card, just make a pretty little bow. If you jumped in after the start of the live, I do hope you'll go back and catch the beginning. So let's decide now where to put the sentiment as well as the bow. I like the bow there. What do you think for the sentiment? I kind of like that. I don't want it going off the card. Oh, that's kind of cute too, where it's tucked in behind that leaf. Any opinions where you think the sentiment should go? Top right. Amy, you're first to respond. While you're exercising, how do you do that? If you're on a treadmill, I'd fall off, I think. Okay, I'm going to put this on the flower itself. You like up here? Okay, that's what I will do. I'm going to lay it flat, and I'm only going to put adhesive on the left side. And you know why that is, right? Okay, and if you have a little bit of adhesive sticking out, just rub it off or use your adhesive remover, and all will be good. Okay. So there's our finished card, always and forever, and a little pretty ribbon detail inside. Oh, you're on the elliptical? Oh my gosh. You better be careful and be safe. How do you respond to these while you're doing that? Hopefully it's by voice. Okay, one last time. This time, and I've pre-cut some pieces here as well that I think will work just dandy. Okay, so when you're wanting to by text, you're crazy. When you're wanting to use your designer series paper for something like this, or for any project where both sides are going to be showing, you need to think about direction, okay? Because when you're turning up or turning back on some of them, it does matter what the direction is, okay? If you have the one with the writing, I would not do that. I would not use that one with the writing as the base for this fun fold card, because I would end up with upside down writing on one part, and I don't like that, okay? So again, I'm starting with 8.5 by 11. I just cut this from one of the sheets of designer series paper in the package. And it's already cut to 8.5 by 11 inches. So I'm going to first score vertically at 4 1/4. I like with this new paper trimmer, I can score DSP without it cutting through my DSP or tearing it. And then in the vertical direction, scoring in half would be 5.5 inches. Okay. So now it's time to cut on the diagonal. Let me do a little bit different this time. I want my opposite corners to fall into the cutting line. Okay, and I went as far as I could go on this end, and I'm just going to slide it up a little bit. And hopefully match up directly with that. Or you can just use your scissors, your paper snips, and go the rest of the way, okay? So that takes me most of the way. I'll just trim off this little spot. Okay. So now I have 2 card bases, okay? I'm using this side, the Petal Pink design is going to be the inside of my card base, okay? But this is a great way to show off both sides of the designer series paper. Sometimes it's hard for us to choose which we like best. Okay, so those are our 2 card bases. Okay, I guess it doesn't matter which way we go, does it? Okay, I already pre-cut some pieces for the inside of my card. So I'm going to go ahead and put those on. And then we will decorate the front of the card. And I know somebody wants to ask, what size is that, Mary? Okay, the white is 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. The Petal Pink is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. And then my pool party is 5 1/4 by 4. So I did change it up a little bit. Ooh, let's put some ribbon in here again. I like that. Okay. Could actually do it the opposite direction too. What do you think? No, I like it across the bottom better. But just a matter of personal preference, no right or wrong. Easy peasy. Okay, remember, lay your piece of ribbon across your front and then just fold over the ends and they will pick up grab onto the adhesive you put on the back. So when you can't decide which side of the designer series paper to use, here is a good option for the card. And you can see I did change up the size of the borders. Just another way to change things up and make things interesting. And I pulled in that pool party from the print on the front of the card, even though there's not any pool party color on the inside print. Okay. Now let's go ahead and use this. I had cut this out previously and we had cut out the other Eiffel Tower so I could show you that. So let's just finish this one off this way. Put that in the center. Okay. And then I'm going to put the Eiffel Tower on with some glue dots. Okay, so if you were with me at the very beginning of the Facebook Live, I announced that tomorrow is my last day working as a visiting angel. I decided to retire my position, not retire, resign from my position, and do Stampin' Up! Full-time. So some big changes ahead for me. Kind of feel like it's a big leap of faith, but I'm going to give it my best shot and see how things go this year. I hope that you will support me in this decision by helping to spread the word of my Facebook page and group and things like that. I will be offering more classes to go, and just hopefully building on the business I already have and really expanding. So I'm kind of scared, but I'm also excited. So, all right, let's pull out another, what should we have here? Follow your heart, it will take you to the incredible places. Ooh, you're the joy of my life. Amour means love. All of me loves all of you. That's kind of neat. You mean so much to me. Any preferences? I don't know. Part of me says don't put one on. But I do think we need some rhinestones. We need a bit of bling. And I'm kind of wishing, I don't know if I can pull this off. I don't think I can. I'm kind of wishing I had popped up the oval on this card to have lifted off the card base just a little bit so it stands out a little more. But that's okay. I am going to add a few rhinestones. I'll do 2 mediums and a large. I like that they give us 3 different sizes of rhinestones. Okay, how does that look? All right, and remember, you know, when we think of Paris and the Eiffel Tower and all that, France, we think of love, but the Parisian Blossoms product suite can be used really for any occasion. Okay, but they're just pretty and dainty and fun prints and colors. The colors also are great for baby cards as well. So I hope you enjoyed this new fun fold, and I hope you enjoyed participating in the cards I've made today. I look forward to seeing many of you and perhaps more on Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be on my Facebook page then, Stampin' Scrap with Mary Knabe.